Good morning, everyone. Today is the 5th of November. This is Brad Matheny. We're looking at election day, and everybody's going to probably be busy today going over their duties and running around. So I expect everyone to please be safe and please don't stress today. It's probably going to be a nothing day. Yes, there's my cat thanking me for her early morning food. But the long and short of it, folks, is we're going to be looking at a probably a pretty quiet day until later tonight. Normally, like during the 2016 elections, markets were pretty quiet until overnight. And when we got into overnight, when the election results were becoming more evident, things started to really spin. So again, we're looking at a fairly moderate day. Let's take a look here at the cycle patterns. Cycle patterns show a flat down day in trending mode. I got to check why these didn't update. I'll check those out. They should have updated, but I'll update that in the system. We are still bearish, probably explosive bearish. So we're looking at a flat down day now. A flat down day, and this is a 1 hour chart, so I'll spread this out a little bit. A flat down day is typically pretty mellow, meaning wherever we open, we're looking like we're going to open around this area. It's going to be a fairly mellow, just drift downward. Okay. I don't expect much today. I really don't. And I don't really, as I told you yesterday, my newest research as of last weekend suggests that the markets are going to be kind of in a what I'm calling an anaphylactic shock mode. Let's just call it a shock mode until roughly November 10th. So we're going to be looking around out over until about this area here, where we start to get into some possible rotational trending. And again, I talked about an anomaly yesterday. There is a likely anomaly price event taking place in November. It actually starts around the 10th or the 12th potentially, and may break down a bit. So we're going to see how it plays out. SPY does look like it holds up quite well compared to the NASDAQ and other sectors, but be aware that it could affect all markets. So today, again, flat down, probably not going to see too much activity, just really rolling sideways, trying to hold up above support around 568, maybe just below that level. We are still in that consolidation mode. I believe that we're going to be looking at a consolidated swing in price activity. I think that got moved. I'll get it out of the way. These were potential breakdown bars. So we're kind of looking for that, trading, just like I told you, within this 567 area to 575 area. We're looking at rolling into that consolidation phase. And remember, the range here is established by price. So more than likely, we're going to get a basing into today, a relief rally on Wednesday, potentially, as we start to get some clarity, maybe touching back up into this 575 area over the next couple of days. So, if my analysis is correct, you do have a pretty good chance for a swing type of a trade in this area, buying near these lows and then selling out here, getting this rotation. And then generally, we could see kind of a buy here mode into a sell here up in this area. But again, this really determines how we're going to play the rotation. Remember, we end up getting into a really deeper risk factor out in this area and out towards the end of the month. Now, near the end of the month over here, we're looking more at the idea that we're going to consolidate. So if I can show you here and here, this is, remember, the anomaly scenario. Gotta bring these to front. So I'll just bring this one and this one. You can see where we're at near the end of the month or middle of the month, sorry. When we get over here into this end of the early December timeframe, like I mentioned to you, we're looking kind of at a rolling pattern here, rolling out of this mode, potentially moving into a zone buy area kind of here before we rally up into a late Christmas rally. So we're going to be trading typically, between this range through this area, kind of melting upward. And I do believe that anomaly area here is going to prompt some sort of a possible deep V move into that zone. Okay. So we've got to be aware of the fact that this anomaly event is likely between the 10th and 11th of November, and let's call it early December, call it the 10th or so of December as we get into this buy zone. We're watching for this anomaly event to take place. Not 100% sure it's going to happen, but it would be um, efficient is, I guess, the word I'm looking for, considering that we're in this flagging phase here, this 3 and 4, looking for that breakdown. At some point, we're going to be watching for a potential breakdown to complete the 5 over here and giving us our final leg. So remember, we are going to be, okay, it's already to front. We're going to be watching for this area, this breakdown area, to maybe get down to this 558, 559, maybe down here 556 area. But it's going to be dependent really on whether or not the anomaly happens and whether or not the anomaly is sufficient enough to drive the SPY downward. So we've got basically a couple of days here of rotation, sideways, really trading within the 567 area to 575 area on the SPY. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the QQQ. Kind of the same scenario. You see, we've got this big gap here. Oh, I got lines everywhere. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get rid of some of these and start over. So, okay, well, let's keep that, keep that, keep that. And now let's talk about this for a minute because where we're at with this is that we have rolled up to the peak, rolled into this sideways consolidation, rolled up to a secondary peak here. Okay, so let's come back over here. Rolled up to a peak, rolled through, rolled up to a peak. Yep. And now we've got this big gap. So we are rolling through again, the way I would count this on this hourly chart. We've rolled up to this peak, we've rolled down, and now we're kind of into that flagging formation. So, and the reason I'm doing this, folks, is because I can see we've peaked, come down, flagged, into higher trending, peaked, come down, flagged, broke down briefly, set a new low, and then rallied up to a new high. So this new high negates the rest of this pattern. Okay, now we're here, we're moving into flagging. Does look like it's rolling a bit downward here, which means we're going to see a downward, try to find support, and then maybe break down into an ultimate low. This does align with the anomaly pattern. This does align with the anomaly, and the NASDAQ and the QQQs are the symbol that I would be looking for in terms of a anomaly. So you have the peak, number one here. You have the flagging, number two here. You have the potential breakdown of the flag, which is here, which would happen here. Breakdown. Let's just put it right here for now. Then you have the consolidation, number four, and then you have the ultimate breakdown, number five. Oops. So when we're looking at this is where the anomaly event comes into play. And I tried to draw that yesterday with this anchor low, trying to buy into this area and buy into this area. I believe that if we do see the anomaly, it's going to come in the form of a risk to certain sectors. And again, I believe that it's going to affect the QQQ more than the SPY. Could be a very sharp, could be a very narrow trend. So this is a fairly deep move here. We could see this same thing set up with consolidation through here and then a deep low here, coming back out into December and trying to rally. And that's very likely as a shallow or let's call it a moderate anomaly event. A deeper anomaly event would be down here, rolling out of this and rolling upward, just like I had drawn right here. Get rid of this, move this to the front, and move this to the front. So you get the idea here that this anomaly event sets up basically between the 10th and the 24th or 25th, basically of November, right around Thanksgiving. Basically, we get an anomaly event taking place, and I guess like I should tell you, an anomaly event is an unusual market event, something that is just unforeseen. It's almost like a catalyst type of event where certain dominoes start to fall and it causes price to make a move. Again, I don't believe the SPY is going to really get hit. I think the Nasdaq, the Qs are going to get hit more with the anomaly event than the SPY, and I think that you could see Qs down here at 472, maybe 460, but with the SPY, I think you're going to be looking more towards consolidation. I think you're going to be looking more towards consolidation in this lower range, 562, 565, right below this lower channel. Remember, we either have to hold at this channel or we have to break down to the ultimate low. Now, the ultimate low can be very shallow. Sometimes it can be very deep, sometimes it can be a very shallow move. And technically, we could argue that a moderate breakdown here, maybe into the 564 area, would be sufficient for an ultimate low before we rally back out of it. But again, the risk of this anomaly event really starts to take place right over here near November 10th, potentially coming down, setting up the anomaly, and then moving back up into this zone for a rally phase. Okay. So be aware that I don't think we're going to be looking at huge moves. Like someone had written me about asking about 555 puts, and you know, I don't know the price. I would argue that I still see the SPY holding up better than the Qs. So I would think that 555 would be a in this area would be a very outlier, a big outlier event. I just don't see it happening. I see more of the 560, 562 area being our ultimate low for the Qs. Given my research, I just don't see the big breakdown in the SPY happening right now. 2026, more than likely. 2025, maybe. Right now, I don't see it happening, really, based on my research. Okay, so let's go to gold. Gold and silver are all the markets are really moving into this sideways flagging. You can see we had a little bit of a deep rotation last night. rolled back up into consolidation. Looks like, to be honest with you, looks like we're setting up a pretty solid channeling event. You could almost argue, and I can see it cleanly across this area. So you can always come in, and as I teach people, you can draw what you see. People talk to me about, oh, your messy charts. Yeah, well, draw what you see. I'm not here to lecture you about clean or dirt or messy or whatever charts. I mean, look at my charts; they're full of all kinds of stuff. But the idea here is I present what I see, and what I see is oftentimes a little different than what most people see. So I'm going to come in here and get rid of some of these. Keep that. Try to highlight this a little. So gold is moving into this flagging phase, like we talked about. We had a bit of a deep move yesterday. Can we call this the ultimate low? Maybe. It's going to depend. So look here, we've got this deep move here coming back up. Is that the ultimate low? Maybe. I would argue that we need to see how this plays out. We've got this rally phase up here. Remember, we rallied up into this area. We came out, we flagged, very brief flag, double topping, broke downward, moved into this flagging formation here. And is this the breakdown to the ultimate low? Maybe. It's really going to depend, guys, on whether or not we're able to see a rally out of this. Now, understand that, my predicted bar patterns for gold are here. So I don't see gold making a major move until, where's the next one? Over here. And then here. I don't see gold making a major move out of this area until we safely touch into the 2720 area, this kind of a range, which I can drag a little downward down into that area. But, I could be wrong. So, given where we're at and given the flag channeling, given the fact that we're looking at a gold pattern of, oops, wrong direction, a nothing day to day in bearish breakout and bearish mode. It looks like we had the breakout a little bit last night. We could see an upper move today, maybe trying to get up into the 2760, 2765 area. And that could happen actually tomorrow as we trade through today. And then I think we get more consolidation back into this channel. And really, if you take a look at this, guys, what we're looking at here is kind of a flagging setup. So wherever the low is here, coming out to this area and then across this area potentially. So we could get that flagging formation with the volatility out over in this area before we get that big breakout rally. So I would think that the November 7th, November 8th would be a very good area to look for lows in gold. Look for lows by year. I would think that would be a very good area for gold to be able to try to buy into that 2720, 2725 or lower area, trying to catch this next move higher. And it looks like you get a pretty solid rally up into maybe the 13th or 14th of November. Okay, silver. Oh, I always type it wrong. Same kind of scenario. You can see the downward shape that we have. So I'll draw it for you. The downward channeling coming right across this area and roughly this area. So we're getting that downward channeling pressure through the elections. And, you could argue that we're getting some sort of a sideways basing type of a flagging formation right across here, potentially leading to an apex again around the 6th or the 7th. Now, again, I would be concerned that we're still in a 4. We're still looking at a potential breakdown. Silver's a bit more volatile than gold, so we do have the potential for a bigger downward move, potentially moving down into this area, support. So let's label this support, and this is resistance. And again, I would urge you to be aware of the anomaly event coming out. So what's most likely to happen here, and I'll try to draw it for you, is that we slide into some volatility around the apex, then get very volatile around the apex, and maybe move into the anomaly event coming back out of this. So I'll make that, I guess, a bright blue so you can see it. And that is kind of what I believe is going to be a very likely outcome here. So understand that that anomaly event, if it happens around the 10th, is going to probably drive everybody downward, and we'll see how things play out. So now let's go back over here to Bitcoin. Bitcoin 68,800 up 1,000. Still traversing same kind of a move like gold through this sideways channeling. And again, I can tell you almost by repeating myself that, pay attention around the 10th or 11th, right over in this area. We are going to be looking at a narrowing of channels. So you can see how we have this channeling coming across here. And then you can see how this duplicates pretty much right down here. I think we're going to be basically moving through the same setup. So let me show you here that we're probably going to be rolling into a consolidated channel around the 10th, getting a bit more volatile, moving into a breakdown anomaly event, and then moving back out of it. So again, election shocking the markets. We get clarity in the election, post-election, seeing that we have some sort of direction. We start to get a lot more volatile. Then we get the anomaly event, short-lived, only about a week or 2 weeks, maybe max, and then we climb our way back out of it. So understand that I think we climb back up to the upside towards the end of the month, really more so towards this, and I'll redraw this so you can see it, but really more so towards the end of February. So we've come down, we're flagging, we tighten into this, get very volatile, move into the anomaly event, and then really towards the end of November, start to move upward. And this is going to be clarity moving into the Santa rally. And this really starts back over here. I mean, you could say this is the buy zone here, but what we're really looking for, if you can tag this low as a buy zone, great. I don't know exactly where it's going to be yet, but ultimately, until we get back out of this consolidation range, the real buy zone, in my opinion, is going to be right over in here or right over in this area. So once we get the confirmation that we're rolling out of that deep low anomaly event, which may be a little late and may represent the ultimate deep low. So understand that, as we break through this, are we going to end up into that deep low pattern, which will present a number 5 somewhere back over here? If that happens, we have this anomaly event that's likely going to rally us right on up into 74, 75, 78,000 on Bitcoin. Okay, guys, about 25 minutes video today. Again, election day, probably going to be fairly flat throughout the day. Good for day traders if you want intraday, but remember, very consolidated overall. I want you to be aware that we're looking at real moderate trending and consolidation today. There's going to be some opportunities, but I just want you to realize that we need to stay cautious throughout this move. Really stay cautious and prepare for what is likely to be a fairly uneventful price action day, I would think. Okay, guys, that's it for now. Again, sorry for my quote unquote messy charts, but I'm doing my best to deliver the best research that I can. I'll go through and clean these up tonight, see what I can get rid of. Okay, guys, that's it. Talk to you later.